Hello, I'm Kate and welcome to the Hawthorn Cotagecraft Podcast. Today is Wednesday the 7th of March and this is episode 21. You can find me on Instagram as Kate_Hawthorncottagecraft, on Ravelry as ARunnerBean, and we have a Ravelry group for the podcast called Hawthorn Cottagecraft, which is all one word, podcast group. There you'll find show notes, you'll find all the information about the knit-alongs and the finished objects threads for the knit-alongs. Please feel free to come over and introduce yourself. It's lovely to meet all of you. I do respond eventually. I noticed there have been a few introductions in the last week or two and I haven't got to the responses, but I will get there. Thank you for coming over and taking the time to introduce yourself. Thank you if you're a returning viewer for coming back and joining me again at the cottage, and a very special welcome if you're new to the cottage. I hope you feel very happy here and very comfortable in our company. So I hope you have a cuppa, and we have lots to get through today and we'll just get on with it. The end of January marked our 1 year anniversary here in the Hawthorn Cottagecraft Podcast. And it has been a fabulous year, a year where I've met so many of you and made so many new friends. And to celebrate the anniversary, I decided to run a giveaway which was over on the Ravelry thread. And I asked you to tell me what your plans were for this year. What would you like to see happening, either personally or within your knitting life? And it was really interesting to read all the responses to that. We had 149 entries. And the prize, before I announce the winner, just keep the suspense going a wee bit longer. The prize for this giveaway was donated very kindly by LB Hand Knits and S Twist Wool, who had collaborated for a kit. And they donated this beautiful yarn, S Twist Wool, which is an Irish yarn from start to finish. It's created in County Tipperary, as far as I know, and it's a mountain fleece, and this is iron weight, and there's 150 meters per 100 grams, and the colourway is juniper, and that is just the most delicious shade of green. And this yarn was to go with a pattern that LB Hand Knits created called the Latish hat pattern. And the two work together. The pattern is beautiful. It has a lovely lattice pattern in it, design. She also has a sweater pattern to match the hat. But for the prize we had this yarn and we had the hat pattern and a mug, which I have got for you from Anna Wright, and I leave all the links to all the prizes, where they're from, in the show notes. And this is called Knitting Circle. And I thought this was very appropriate because that's exactly what we are here. And I wanted the winner to be able to join me for a cuppa with the yarn and their cup of whatever. There were 149 entries and random number generator pulled number 53. And just to check that I get this right, the winner is Poolside on Ravelry, and that is Adriana from Connecticut, and I'm delighted that you have won that. Adriana said that she is looking forward this year to trying brioche and colour work for the first time. I haven't tried brioche yet either, and I don't know if I'm brave enough. It looks complicated. Maybe it's not as complicated as it looks, but I'm really interested to see how you get on with that, Adriana. Keep us posted. But congratulations and thank you for entering. If you could contact me on Ravelry, send me a message with your details so that I can post off your wool and your mug, and I'll pass on your details to LB Hand Knits and she will send you the pattern for the hat. So thank you again to everybody who has entered, and thank you to everybody over the past year who has been part of this journey, who has clicked the subscribe button, who has clicked the thumbs up button. Just those little things mean the world to me, and I know then that we're doing the right thing. So thank you to everybody, and I hope that the next year is full of as much fun as this past year has been. Just before we get into the knitting proper, I wanted to remind you again of the Garments Galore Cal, which is ending on the 31st of March. So there's still a few weeks left. It has been running since October, and in the last few weeks it has really gained momentum, and it's been lovely to see the FO threads filling up with all those beautiful garments. You have been really, really busy, and has given me lots and lots of ideas as if I needed any more. This Cal has been run in conjunction with the Little Big Knits podcast with Selma, and we've had a lot of fun looking at everybody's sweaters and garments. If you have a finished object, if you have a finished garment, please feel free to add your garment to both groups. Make sure you add into the threads in both groups so that you double your chances of winning prizes. There's prizes, separate prizes for each podcast. There's the general thread in each group, and as well we have a unique thread within each group. In Selma's, if you have knit your first garment, feel free to add it to her thread over there. And if you have knit a garment that is over 1400 metres, 1400 metres, the Mount Everest thread is in my group, so feel free to pop that in there. And there are a few in there already, which has been lovely to see. I've really enjoyed this Cal so far. There have been some beautiful prizes that have come in. I'm not going to go through them today. There's enough to get through today, and you'll see them really probably at the end of the month when we are ready to draw all for the prizes. But there are some fabulous prizes, and you'll see them in detail then. Keep the momentum going. There is still time if you want to get a quick adult garment in there. They must be adult garments, but there are some patterns that are fairly quick to knit up. There's a hashtag at the moment on Instagram called Bang Out a Carbith, and I knit the Carbith, as you know, and it is a really, really fast knit. So if you're still wanting to get a sweater knit, I would strongly advise that you do a Carbith. There is still time. It's a bulky weight sweater, so there's still, go for it if you haven't done it, and if you've been thinking about it and have been a bit hesitant, there is still time to do that. Keep up the momentum, and we look forward to seeing the finished objects at the end of the month. So on the note of finished objects and garments, I have a finished object to show you. And finally, I can show you my Scala cardigan, which I literally sewed on the last button this morning. I am delighted that this garment is finished, and I'm going to just give you a twirl so that you can kind of see the cardigan, but I will insert some photographs. So this is what it looks like, and I am really, really pleased with it. So that's just a quick overview of it. This cardigan has been the bane of my life for almost 12 months. It is a beautiful pattern. There is nothing wrong with this pattern. It is a beautiful pattern, and I am absolutely delighted now that it's finished. It's the Scala cardigan, as I said, by Carrie Westerman, and as I've talked before, this pattern was designed in honour of Louise Scala of the Knit British podcast that you all know. And last year at Edinburgh Yarn Festival, Louise very kindly helped me pick out the yarn for it, and we picked the Blacker Yarn West Country Tweed, which is a mix of Shetland, Teeswater Romney and Black Mountain Fleece. I think it was Black Welsh Mountain yarn. And it's beautiful. There are flecks of colour which the camera isn't really picking up, but there are little flecks of red and blue and yellow in there, and it will go with so much. It is a really, really versatile cardigan, and it's slightly oversized on me, which I wasn't too sure about. I tend to wear things very fitted, and I was a bit concerned it was going to be very baggy, but it's actually not. It's quite, as you can see, I'm filling it more than I thought I would, but it's really, really comfortable, and I think this is going to probably be one of my most, having been one of the most problematic, for want of a better word, sweaters to knit, I think this could be my most worn. I think this is going to be really, really well loved. But to tell you the story and to recap in case you don't know it, I started this last May, I think it was May or the beginning of June. And whatever block I had in my head, it just wasn't working. I had the wrong needle size, which meant that this yarn was knitting up like chainmail. It was dense, almost rigid. And because it is a rustic yarn, and doesn't feel immediately soft to the touch, it really wasn't pleasant at all. But that wasn't the yarn's fault, and that wasn't the pattern's fault. That was entirely my fault. For some reason I picked the wrong needle and it really wasn't working. So it had got frogged eventually, and it sat over last summer and early autumn because there were so many other projects on the go that were proving at that point to be much more pleasant and workable. And it, as I said, it just languished. But it was always in my head that I wanted to finish it. I really, really wanted to knit this so that I could wear it this year to the Edinburgh Yarn Festival, which is only 7 days away, and the excitement is building, but more of that later. I really wanted to do it, so I grabbed the bull by the horns and got it started again on the right needle, and it was a 3.7mm, which is a US 5, I think, and a 4mm, which is a US 6, and it worked up a treat. The other block that I had was that it was reverse stocking stitch, which was daft considering I was working flat for most of this, all of it, and it's really just stocking stitch. You're just looking at it from the wrong side. But I had a mental block, and once I got that out of the way, this whizzed up. It went up really quickly, and the last time you saw it, I had the main body done and was on the sleeves. And the sleeves, again, can be my problem, and they were. The reverse stocking stitch for the sleeves did prove to be a problem, in that I was doing them in the magic loop, and it must be just my tension where I was moving from the front needle to the back, or the back needle to the front, whatever. I was on the turn. There was a ladder that was really noticeable, and I wasn't happy with it, and different people had given me solutions that I could tighten it up and whatever, but being me, I just had to frog it and start again. And what I did do was I knit them inside out, technically. So I just knit normal stocking stitch sleeves and in the magic loop, and it eliminated the problem completely. And then when I was to join the sleeves with the yoke, when I started to work the yoke, then I turned them to the reverse, to this side, so that it worked much better, and it really worked a treat. This is the softest yarn. It isn't a hard yarn at all. My first perceptions of it were totally wrong. As I said, it was my fault. I'd knitted at the wrong gauge and on the wrong needles. But once this was knit on the correct gauge and needles, this is really, really soft yarn. It's going to be so well worn. I'm really, really enjoying this, and I'm looking forward to wearing it next week at Edinburgh and letting Louise see it in its final stage. It's a pattern that has lovely, just enough lace work in it to make it interesting, but it's not complicated. And I'm just really pleased with it. It goes really well with jeans. I probably could dress it up a wee bit, but it's just a really casual, comfortable cardigan, and it's finally done, and I'm more than delighted with it. So when you see me at Edinburgh Yarn Festival next week, if you're there, and there will be lots of photographs taken as well, I have my 3 sweaters. 2 of them were quite speedily knit up. This one wasn't. I have my Fern and Feather, my Carbeth sweater, and my Scala. So I've won a day, which I'm really, really pleased with, and I just have to decide now which day's going to be which sweater. The Carbeth will more than likely be on the Saturday because it's St. Patrick's Day and it's green, and being Irish, and I have to celebrate the green on the Saturday. But these will make an appearance at some point over the Edinburgh Yarn Festival. My Carbeth sweater that I have knit for Edinburgh Yarn Festival is part of the Blacker Podcal. This sweater, although it's blacker, isn't, because it was started long before January. But my Carbeth was part of the Podcal. If you are knitting anything that's in blacker and started in January, mid-January I think it was, put it into the finished objects thread in the Blacker Ravelry Group. Whether you're attending Edinburgh Yarn Festival or not, you can be part of that. So I'm looking forward to seeing what everybody else is knitting their blacker yarns next week. I am very privileged this year to be part of the podcast lounge in Edinburgh Yarn Festival, and Blacker sponsor that. And this past, a few weeks ago, since the last podcast, I received a little package from Blacker. Part of the package made me childishly excited, and that was my lanyard for the festival. This makes me official, and that just made me really excited. But what they also sent me, which was even more exciting, was a sample of their new yarn, which they are launching at Edinburgh. And this is part of my works in progress, because I jumped at the chance to use it. At Edinburgh Yarn Festival, they are launching their new range, which is Jacob. It's one of their breeds. They would often sell according to breed, and Jacob is their new breed that they're selling. And this yarn is beautiful, and they have sent a sample card with all their colours and a little bit of information. So this was the sample card, and this is like a sweetie shop to me. These colours, I don't think there's any colour there I don't like. I want all the colours. The first 4 colours are on-dyed. So we have clay, marlstone, granite and basalt. And these are just beautiful. I think a sweater in this marlstone will be beautiful. And then they're dyed colours. Now I don't wear this colour very much, but it is highly tempting, and this is very much within my colour range. So there's a really good range of colours. When Blacker have given some information on their website about Jacob, it's an ancient historic breed that they feel originally came from the Middle East to the UK via Spain, and they have said that there are actually early Egyptian paintings, wall paintings from 1800 BCE, displaying Jacob sheep. So it's really interesting to see that it is such a historic breed. The colour, they sent me 2 colours, and I'll show you the other colour a little later. Or actually I can show it to you now. Just 1 second. They sent this dark colour, which I think is it's either the dark blue granite or the dark blue basalt. And this one, which is a deep green, I think, or deep blue. I think it's the dark blue granite. But they are beautiful, beautiful shades. They have said that this is a hard wearing yarn, and it, to me, although they've said it's hard wearing, that almost implies that there's no softness to it. This is really, really soft. I found it really airy and bouncy to work with, and you know me, I am not a mitts knitter. I've never knit. I have never knit a mitt before. I have knit like a rectangle and seamed it and left space for a thumb, but I've never actually knit a proper mitten or fingerless mitt before. And I have forgotten the name of this pattern, but I'll link it below. I have a mitten, and I have the second one on the needles. Please excuse the threads, nothing has been woven in. But this was knit with the new Jacob yarn, and I love it. There's really good stitch definition It is very, very soft, but I think it's going to be very, very warm. It has a really warm feel to it. But it is soft and airy and bouncy. So if you are on the lookout for a new yarn, then certainly after next week, look out for the Jacob. I have plans already, and I will show you that now with what I want to do with it eventually, and it's part of my shopping list for the yarn festival. But I have the second one of these to do. This is a free pattern. I will link it below, and it's knit on, I'm using double pointed needles. They are 3.25, I think. It's the Knit Pro Zings I'm using. I started this on Magic Loop on the Chai-Goos because they were to hand, and very promptly ripped it out. I love the Chai-Goo needles on normal knitting and knitting in the round, knitting flat, but I don't like it for Magic Loop. The cable's too rigid and I have the problem with the ladder. So I put these onto double pointed needles, but the yarn just was a dream to knit. It feels like butter. It is so soft when you are knitting it, but there is that rustic feel to it as well. So please look out for that after Edinburgh, and look at those colours. Just look, aren't they gorgeous? How am I going to stick to one colour or one project? I know I can do colour work, but how am I do not need sweater's worth of yarn, but I'm going to get a sweater's worth of this because it is just delicious. And the sweater actually that I'm planning to knit, I'll tell you about it now, seeing I'm talking about the Jacob, is found in, and again I'm moving off camera, I'm really organised today. I got the Len magazine, issue number 4. As you know, this is my favourite publication. I look out for it each time. I have plans for things out of issue number 3. I haven't knit out of it yet. I knit something out of 1 and 2. This is full of beautiful patterns this time. Every time. And the one that, oh well, there's a few. I really like this, the magnolia top. And I like the Lakeland jumper. It just looks so comfortable and squishy. And because we've had snow here recently, it just looks really appropriate for that. There's an oversized cardigan, which is nice. But the project that I am going to shop for at Edinburgh, definitely, and I'm going to buy the Jacob yarn for it because it's 4-ply. I think part of it will come in double knit as well, but it's the 4-ply that I'm looking for. And very appropriately, this is the Kate cardigan. How could I pass a pattern that's named after me? I'll just take it that it's named after me. I'm just, yeah. I have to believe it. And this is the Kate pattern by Libby Johnson, who is truly Myrtle, and I have knit her patterns before. I knit the gingerbread sweater and I love her patterns, but I just think this is beautiful. So what I have been doing with my Jacob sample, please do not die of shock, I am swatching for the Kate cardigan. So I'm knitting the pattern, a little bit of the pattern. I actually made a mistake, I have to go back. But it is creating a really beautiful texture. And it'll be a lovely light airy cardigan. And I think I'm trying to decide on the colour. I think this could be a really good wardrobe staple in this colour. But I am also tempted by this green or one of these lighter colours. I like, and that's green as well. I really need to steer away from green. But it'll be one of these colours. I have to decide whether I can manage knitting such a dark, even knitting actually the swatch in such a dark colour is quite problematic, and I'm not sure whether I would want to knit a full cardigan in it. But that's just a personal thing. It is a gorgeous colour, and it would be beautiful knit up. So colour decisions have to be made, but it is going to be beautiful, and that is my plan, to knit the Kate in the Blacker Jacob. So do look out for it, as I said. I've also been working on my socks. It's been a little while and they've lost a little bit of momentum, but I've got back to them a little bit. They are certainly a car knitting project, but I have the first one finished, and this was my Nomadic Yarns Dobby is a Free Elf colourway, and it's 75-25, or it's an 80-20, my apologies, it's 80-20 BFL nylon. It's her Brit sock base, and I just love the colours and the stripes in this. The pattern that I'm knitting is Vanilla Latte socks by Virginia Rose jeans. I'll link it in the show notes. And it's just a simple 6x2 rib pattern. I did my normal 64 cast on 2.5mm, which is a US 1.5, I think, needle. That's my normal sock, and I love the stripe sequence, and to keep the sequence here I put in the afterthought heel and toe, and the yarn that I'm using for that is this dark green, tealy green, and it is by Ellie and Ada and Laura, who dyes. It is an Irish dyer. This is her label, and I've used a lot of Ellie and Ada before, and it's her sock yarn, and it's 75-25 superwash merino nylon, and it's Tealicious is the colourway, and I thought it just worked in really well for the heel and the toe. The normal rounded toe, as I said, the afterthought heel, which I feel works the best for me for the quick heels, and as I say, it maintained the stripe. So I'm really, really pleased with that. There's nothing very much more to say about the socks. The second one is on the needle. I'm there, and these literally sit in the car or in my handbag. I have been, one of the reasons there's been a delay for this episode is that I've got quite a lot of work in the last few weeks. I'm a substitute teacher, and although it's not very nice for the people involved, a lot of staff have been ill in the new year, which has given me quite a lot of work. So an ill wind blows somebody fair, so I have been carrying my socks. I'm not always brave enough to knit at work, but sometimes in a break I might bring the knitting out. I certainly wouldn't bring it out in class. I teach high school, and that would cause lots of difficulties, but the knitting is always with me, and sometimes the socks get a little bit of work. But the thing I wanted to show you with these socks as well was the sock blockers that they're on. These arrived this week. I'm sure all of you know Patricia P. Fortune on Instagram, and her card here shows her podcast, her vlog is knitography, and Patricia's based in Norway, and she's a lovely little farm there, and she started to produce blockers for the Selby mittens and the socks, and because I don't normally knit mittens, I wanted the sock blockers, and it's housing this one at the moment. I have a funny feeling they are totally serviceable, but I will be using them as decoration because they're just so pretty. If you want to know the story of the blockers and Patricia's farm, go over to her website and you'll find the story of her farm and the journey that she's going through with that, and all the exciting developments that are taking place there. But they're a lovely way, and they're actually such a good fit. I have the Bryson metal blockers, and these fit my socks much better than the metal ones. So they are beautiful, and they show off Dobby's sock particularly well. So that's one sock work in progress. The other one I'd kind of alluded to a while ago, and I just wanted to show it to you because of the needles. Like many other people, I wanted to try out the new the mix between the double pointed and a cabled needle. here they're called Addy Crazy Trio socks. And they're made by Addy. I can never remember what they're called. In the States they have a different name. But this is what they look like. So they're like a double pointed needle. But they have a little tiny bit of cable in the middle. So you only need to use 3. So it's a little bit like magic loop. But you have a third needle. I don't think they're the needle for me. I cast on these socks, and the yarn that I'm using, I love this yarn, is the Gumi 50 by Bergère. This is the Imprim Beige, which a lot of people have been using, and it's just really, really pretty. And the contrast is their colour Chair. Again, the Gumi 50, which is 75 wool, 25 polyamide. And I've got this far. Certainly when I was doing the rib, I really didn't enjoy the experience. I love double pointed needles. I work with I find that I'm on a roll with the double pointed needles for socks at the moment, much preferred to the magic loop. Although I still do magic loop for socks. But I feel these are a little bit awkward. They're not as awkward as the small 9-inch circulars, which just drove me to insanity and which I gave away. I will keep these, and they're always another set of needles if I have so many socks on that I need another set. But now that I've shown them to you, these are going on to double pointed because I want to knit these socks, and they may actually become my travel knitting next week. But I don't think I'll be finishing them on the Crazy Trio sock needles. A lot of people love them. A lot of people, the jury was still out from what I could see. I think I would err more on the side of not liking them than liking them. But as I said, there'll be an extra set of needles if I do need them. But that's what I'm knitting. Just a plain vanilla sock, 64 stitches. It's a 1x1 rib. Simple as that. And I'll transfer these now to DPNs, and they'll be my travel knitting next week. They'll be nice and easy to sit at the festival and work on. So that would be the sock works in progress. I have 2 other works in progress. One is a garment and one is a shawl. I had started the shawl the last time, and it's living in my lovely, I'm just going to show a bag for a change, my lovely Busybird bag, my maker bag. And I am knitting the Surprise Party shawl by Helen Stewart Curious Handmade, and this is the one that I'm knitting. This colour, which is I Can't Even. The yarn is by Hugh Loco, and it's the colourway, the kit that she created for this particular colour. The other kit was this colour, and it's Shut the Front Door. If you watch the Grocery Girls, you'll get the references to both those colourways. This was designed with them in mind. And Tracy from the Grocery Girls, if you follow it all, will be at Edinburgh Yarn Festival. But this is the one I decided to knit. I had seen it at Indie Untangled in October, but hadn't bought the yarn there because Indie Untangled was just so hectic I couldn't get near it. And I ordered it when I came home. And I used to knit a lot of shawls. It was really shawl knitting I did for a long time, and I'd gone off the boil a bit. Because I'm just on such a garment, and I'm on a garment kick that has not dwindled at all. But this has rekindled after I knit. Actually, what rekindled my love of shawl knitting was my Rhode Rhinebeck shawl that I showed you the last time that was finished, and it really made me want to knit another shawl, and I am really enjoying this. This is such an intuitive, relaxing knit. If you've followed me on Instagram over the last few weeks, I've been a bit quieter on the knitting. I haven't been knitting quite as much because I've been spring cleaning. That's rare. It doesn't often even happen often in spring. It's just rare. But I have been on such a spring cleaning kick. But it means that by the time, I'm not knitting as much during the day, and by the time I sit down in the evening, I'm tired. Because you have to grab these opportunities when they're there, because they don't come often. So I'm sitting down at night, and although this has a little bit of, you call it lace work, and you have to concentrate to an extent, this is such an intuitive, easy, relaxing knit. I am really thoroughly enjoying this. And this is how far I have got. It is just, the colours that were chosen are so pretty. There's enough interest that you never get bored. And I am really enjoying this. I'm knitting it on 4mm needles, US 6. Everything seems to be on a 4mm at the moment. There's lots of ends. I've some of them woven in, some of them I haven't. I was doing my best to carry the main colour with me, and then I would forget, so I had to kind of cut. But I'm just really, really enjoying this. I'm getting to the point now where I'll soon have to increase again, and there'll be a huge stitch count. But it's gorgeous. I'm really enjoying this. I love Helen Stewart's patterns. I've knit a few before. I was part of the first shawl society, and I knit 3, I think, of the shawls. 2 anyway. I'm not sure if I knit a 3rd one. And I have other shawls of hers in my queue. But what I love about her system is the percentage system. You feel as though you're moving along. She tells you what row number. I want to show the actual pattern. She'll tell you what row number you're on, and then at the end of that row you also see, the lights, you see the total stitches you're meant to have, which is a really good thing in a big shawl like this, and the percentage that you're at, and I've great satisfaction in ticking off each row as I do it. So I'm well through the pattern, I think. I'm pages through the pattern, but I'm at 50%. So this amount is 50%, but the rows are getting much longer. But the percentage system that she uses is great. It just really gives you the motivation to keep going. And isn't that just, you can really see when you're up close, it's harder to see this contrast. But when you stand back from that there, it is just gorgeous. I would love to have had this finished for next week, but that is highly unlikely. I certainly wouldn't have it finished and blocked. But it is actually, I think once I get past, think of another colour repeat to do. Another colour to put in or 2 colours maybe. Then I'm on the main colour. I don't have to change colour again. I go back to the main colour. And I might be able to sit and knit this when I'm there. I'm not sure. I haven't really decided what I'm going to sit and knit there apart from socks, because I want to be able to chat. But I am really enjoying this, and I'm looking forward to wearing this. I think it'll be really lovely over the summer. Just around my shoulders. So that is the surprise party shawl. And as I said, that's keeping me going in the evening when I'm going through this lunacy called spring cleaning. It won't last long. I'll do 1 room and then I'll get fed up. Anyway, the other project that I cast on, and I'll insert a photograph of it here because I didn't print the picture at the front of the pattern, is the Edie t-shirt by Isabel Kramer. And her patterns are lovely. They're very simple, they're modern, but they're timeless is what I'm going to try and say. They're timeless. The shape and the design means that they will last, the designs will last and last and last. And I had purchased, again at Indie Untangled, this beautiful colourway from Tuscan Knits. And if you look at Tuscan Knits Instagram page, her colours, I just want to buy them all the time. But with customs and postage, I just can't. And it's so tempting just to blow it all and get our different colours. But this is the one that really caught my eye and I really wanted to get at Indie Untangled. It's called Witchwood, and it's her bracken base, which is, again, I'm doing a lot of this at the minute, 75 Blueface Leicester and 25% nylon, so 75-25. And it's beautiful. It's greens and greys, and it's almost like a denim blue in there. And I thought this would be beautiful for a casual t-shirt. I have 2 skeins, and it should be enough to do the t-shirt. I was trying to make sure I picked a pattern that was within the yardage. So I cast it on. I'm using my Luca needles, and they're lovely for this project. I think, do you know when something's just aesthetically pleasing? I mean, they're beautiful to knit with. They're so smooth, but even just the colour of the wood against the colour of the yarn. You know, that sounds really daft, but that really pleases me. So I got it cast on. It's top down. You knit flat originally to get the shaping initially. It's really hard to show because of the way it's rolling at the minute in a bad stage. And then you join at this will be V-neck, and you join in the round. Now, I have had an issue here. Everybody advises for indie dyed yarn to alternate skeins. And I've never done that before. And so far, it has always worked, not doing it. I decided this time I'd be a good girl and I would alternate skeins. And that, I've alternated skeins almost to where I'm at now. And that has worked really well because it was working flat. The beginning of the round is right on the V, so it's going to go right down the middle. The problem with that, I feel as though it doesn't lie right when I've alternated skeins here. So I have cut one of the skeins free, and I'm going to knit just a skein at a time. If it doesn't work, as Lisa from I can never remember, she's Saratoga Knitting on Instagram, and it's by the sea, Knitting by the Sea. I knew there was by the sea somewhere. Knitting by the Sea podcast, sorry Lisa, says it's only knitting. If there is a definite colour, there doesn't look to be when I'm eyeballing it. If there's a definite colour difference, I will certainly take it back and just re-knit it and alternate skeins, but maybe do it under, once I get split for the armhole and join again, I'll do it down the side where it's not going to be as noticeable. I just don't like the way, it wasn't just quite neat enough for me there. It looks okay there, but it just, when I'm up close, I don't really like it. So I'm back to just knitting with one skein. But I am loving this. It is, again, it's just going to be a really, really speedy knit. So between it and the shawl, that's what I'm sitting doing at night. I'm looking forward to getting the increases finished. I don't enjoy doing the increases. Again, it's my neat eye, and I'm never quite sure if my increases are neat enough. But it's going to be, and then there's a little bit of textured pattern, simple textured pattern down the body of it, I think. But that's going to work really well, and it's short sleeve. As I said, hopefully I'll have inserted a picture, and if I haven't, I'll insert one here. So that is the Edie top by Isabel Kramer. And it's been knit on a 3.5mm, which is a US 4. And as I say, it's the Leica needles, and I really do love these. You know, I had an issue screwing some of them in, and I still have that with some of them, but once they're in, they're beautiful, and they're lovely to work with. And as I said, they match my knitting, which I like. So those are my works in progress. All that's left really is talking about the future plans, and that really at the moment is all about Edinburgh. And this time next week, as I think I said earlier, I'll be there. I go on Wednesday. There's 3 or 4 of us going together at the start, and we're staying together close enough, fairly close I think to the venue. But I'm really looking forward to it. I am going to everything that is available. You will be sick of the sight of me. I am going to the ACFA knit night on the Wednesday. between 4 and 7. I think there's 2 venues this year, and I'm going to the Aqua one. That's where I was last year. So between 4 and 7 on the Wednesday. There is the big knit night at the Corn Exchange, the main venue, on Thursday night. I'll be at that. I'll be at the Ceilidh dancing my little socks off on the Friday night. And then there's the Meet the Shepherdess event on the Sunday morning just to finish things off. And I hope to be at that one as well. That's my plan anyway. I'm on my own at that stage. The other girls will have bailed out, left me to it, and I'll be on my own, but I'm planning to be at that too. I am going to be at the Corn Exchange Thursday, Friday and Saturday. That's what I'm in Edinburgh for. That's what, I mean, I'll see whatever else of Edinburgh I see, but I've been before, so it's really all about being at EYF for me this time. And I'll be at the Meet the Podcaster meetup, and it's called Meet the Podcaster. There'll be loads of people there. They're the official podcasters. There'll be other podcasters, and just it's a time to come and chat. Edinburgh is very much a social occasion for me this year. I do have plans, as I've said. I'm planning to buy some Jacob, and there was a pattern in the new pom-pom book, which also came in. Very sadly, Brit Yarn is closing its doors. This is just an aside. This month, and Brit Yarn has done a lot for the British knitting community in the last few years since she's been in business, and it was really sad to see that she's closing. But we wish her well with whatever future plans she has. But at this month she has a sale on, and there is a coupon code, I think. But I decided to get the pom-pom. I used to subscribe to pom-pom, and I'd stopped for a little while, but this one appealed to me, and I quite like this sweater. And if I buy another sweater's worth, it might be for this. Durumi. Again, it's Isabel Kramer. I didn't realise that. Now, that wouldn't be my colour choice at all. I think if I was doing it, it would be dark grey and light grey and cream or something. It'll be something more subtle. The pink wouldn't be me at all. But it's a beautiful pattern. I might look for that. I really don't want to buy too much yarn. I have promised myself and my significant other that I will not come home with a lot of yarn, because that shelf, middle shelf there, is all sweaters worths. So there's 2, I think, left from Edinburgh last year, and then whatever I bought at Rhinebeck. And although I am working through it, I don't want to have it clutters my mind as much as clutters the cupboard if I have too much, and that is a lot. That's almost considered too much. Not intending to buy too much yarn. I will buy some. So I want to get the Jacob, and maybe then browse around and look. I've nothing in particular in mind for that particular Isabel Kramer sweater, so it'll be nice to look around and see what there is. Try not to buy too many random skeins. The top shelf there is all sock yarn or for shawls, so I don't really want to. Maybe there might be something. We'll come home, I'm not sure. I love Ancatchin Beg. Last year I bought a beautiful silver necklace that has stitch markers on it that I've worn a few times on the podcast. I wear a lot at home, and I love her silverware. Go again to her Instagram page. I'll link it below. I would like to look at that again. I don't know where else. The list is up on the Edinburgh Yarn Festival page, website, and it's fun to browse through. I had written down something else. Oh yes, there's a company, and I link it because I can't remember the name of it, that sells woven baskets. I think they're from Africa. And I looked at those last year and decided against it last year because I wondered how I would get it home, not realising that you can actually flatten them, or they come flat, and then you use water or something to make them pop back up again. And I regretted not getting one last year, so I might look at the basket. That's the possibilities. Again, it's just have a look around. It's a social occasion. I will be in the podcaster lounge, the Blacker podcaster lounge, for most of my time there, having a chat and a yarn, and hopefully having a cuppa in real life with most of you that come to see me or come to see the other podcasters. Please feel free to come up and say hello. Tell me who you are. Tell me your Instagram name as well as your real name so that I can connect the two, because not everybody posts photographs either of themselves. So I'm not always sure or connect, and I'm not always good with names, but I'm looking forward to meeting you. If you see me in the marketplace, feel free to stop and say hello as well. I'm more than willing to chat, as you probably have gathered. And it's going to be a fun time. The next few episodes, the next episode after this one will be Edinburgh. And then after that, we'll get back into a normal routine, and it'll be the garments, finish up with that cal, and just knitting and chat. So have a lovely few weeks, whatever you're doing, whether you're at a festival or not. Enjoy your knitting, enjoy your time together, and I'll see you soon.